There is something brewing between volatility and momentum within COSM that is absolutely curious, and it's kind of what happened and very reminiscent to the last run up. Yeah, let's go ahead and verify now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a COSM technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this fine Thursday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa. Okay, so please excuse me for being a little pensive here because there's something brewing here that's very curious, and I wanted to bring it up now, and I'm gonna bring it up in the perspective of a short-term trader. Okay, so please take this as such and take this as though we were about to enter the trade freshly here. I understand there's a lot of people in the red here, but try to picture it the way I'm looking at it. Okay, not from the perspective that you're currently sitting. Okay, so the particular area I want to point out is this. Okay, let's take a look at this. Right in here, I want you to focus in on this cross. Okay. And I want you to also notice that we are potentially building that same volatility buildup right now. Okay, so in particular to the colors, okay, we're gonna make this a little large just so we can see first. Okay, I'm gonna pair this with the price action right afterward, but this is absolutely curious. Okay, so let's go ahead and just dim that yellow tint so that we can see the inside of the circle, right? So if you can notice, it's very hard to see, but there is a slight change in color in this, going from that darker green and it's starting to get into that yellow, just like it is here. You see this? The spectrum line is actually starting to kind of curve into that color. So what I'm noticing here is that it was that, you know, obviously it's a little higher, so it's going to be a little more yellowish here. But as you can see, as soon as we cross this here on this iteration, the color started actually changing into that orange or that yellow orangey color as it turns into more and more red, right? So that's how the spectrum kind of works. So in this case, what I'm noticing in similarities is that the cross happened while we were coming from an oversold area on momentum. So this cross is happening when we're at an oversold in momentum as well. Another thing is check this out. Let me go ahead and just expand the view here. Look at what is happening right now. Very, very interesting. Okay, so the pivots are starting to change in momentum. Remember, if you remember correctly, momentum is, this stochastic momentum indicator is proprietary to TradingView software. Okay, so I've actually back tested this indicator by itself throughout several tickers, and I've gotten about a 75. Okay, so if you're familiar with statistics, I've gotten and you're familiar with the standard deviation. So I've gotten through using the first standard deviation, I've gotten the lower end of the first standard deviation to be at 75% and the higher end to be at about 91% accuracy in guessing the asset's direction. Okay, so in this case, if this is going up, then yes, asset is going up, and then if the momentum is going down, then the asset is going down. Okay, so I'm getting about a 75 to 91% read in accuracy. Okay, so not perfect, but it's pretty damn high enough for us to kind of consider into the probabilities, right? So this is absolutely curious that we are already kind of putting that downside to it's slowing to a minimum. So the other average from the momentum is still pivoted slightly to the downside, but you can see that it's already being affected by the leading average. Okay, so in this area, you can tell that there probably is still a little more downside, ever so slightly, and we can start curving towards that upside. When you combine that with volatility, or when you verse it with volatility, you get that cross, then you get momentum to start pivoting towards the upside, and then you get this. So I don't want to like put hopium out there, but I'm just putting two and two together here. You know what I mean? So this is looking very interesting. So what I mean by looking at it in the perspective, of a trader, is that a short-term trader would essentially look for these signals to fire, and this could potentially give us the entry signal for a long or for a bullish trade, right? So you know, again, I'm not trying to give false hopium here, but this is looking very curious. And you guys know that I study statistics a lot within this, and this has a lot to do with it. In particular, this would be statistical physics, but yeah, and I mean, nonetheless, like we've right before this run up, right before this huge run up, you can see right here in momentum that we actually, I'm gonna circle it, and then we're gonna just go into the indicator so you can see what I mean. Okay, so this iteration that happened right here, that we're just below this red line, it just so happens to be that accumulation zone before we ran up. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at the positions of now versus when we did that. Okay, here's the circle I drew. Take a look at that. Man, we are so, we're very, it's very similar here. Okay, so now a lot of you know that I'm not the biggest fan of fractal analysis and stuff, but I'm not sure that this is considered a fractal. I think this is just a typical pivot point. And it looks to be like, it's probably setting up for a pretty massive run here, or soonish. You know, this is very curious. Okay, so definitely, guys, know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment. Okay, do your own DD and everything will be just fine. Another thing you should look out for is those scammers in the comments with the WhatsApp and the text me. Guys, I'm never gonna give my phone number out in a comment ever. Okay. My family is way too important, and I'm not a single dude, just a degenerate like single guy. It's not like that, guys. I have a family, you know, and I will not put myself at risk like that. Okay, you guys. So definitely know that it's not me, you know, asking you to text me or to invest with me, guys. It's not gonna happen. Okay, so please understand that is a huge scam. A lot of thieves and scammers out there. Okay, so watch out with that. Anyway, yes. So this is what I'm looking at. Okay, I understand that the other average is suggesting maybe a potential slight continuation to the way down, whatever that may mean. But as a short-term trader, these are essentially the signals that we're looking for an upside, and a massive one at that. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and move on to the next chart, because COSM is starting to look a little juicy. All right, so here's the next thing. You guys remember when I told you that for the candle wick low of the October 17th iteration, daily candle, and the iteration of October 26th wick high, we created this massive gap, right? So we called it a void, and we also called it kind of like a slide, right? So as you can see, we penetrated it, and we absolutely slid right down it. Okay, just like we expected. So now the previous supports that we already had here per the price action, and actually per the closing of this, the opening of this candle here where the body starts, we actually came down to test that range that we had already looked at for some time as that support range. So essentially, when we were up here, I was saying, guys, if we fail these supports, I'm going to tell you that we're probably going to end up going down to $2.94. This was a few videos ago, right? So in this case, we hit 301. So I guess I was off. Sue ARCa, right? So nonetheless, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nonetheless, here, we came back to test it and we rejected it. Okay, so the very curious thing here is that we kind of let me see what the price action is doing after market, because the market after is still happening. So we're at 308 after market, and the daily close or market close was 309. I suspect. Let me just go ahead and check. Yeah, 309 was the market close, and as you can see, we're closing right at that void bottom. Okay, so if we're turning this into a support right now, great. But since the momentum indicator in the first image that we were looking at right down here, since the momentum, the other average is still suggesting a slight downside. I mean, there is the possibility that we can actually come back down to 301 or even the 294 before a continuation to the way up. But I mean, like I've said, you guys, there's these supports are pretty important sometimes when we draw them in, right? So we've already rejected off of that, which is great. Okay, so the only fear I have is the fact that we have the 3.618 located. I mean, it's not super near us. We are at 308, is all the way to 274. So I'm not sure of the likelihood of hitting this just yet. The higher likelihood would be the 294 or the test back of the 301 before a continuation. Okay, so this is looking very curious. All the price action is actually lining up the way we kind of said it would be. Okay, so after the capitulation event that we faced, sliding down that void, we now are starting to get these green candle iterations, kind of showing that the bears may be losing some strength. Another interesting thing is that now the ARC-Series, the Crypstex indicator, this one is the DBSI, has printed a long signal here in the hourly today, just literally within the aftermarket trading activity. So it's curious that it's already printing this as well. There are signals firing. Not all of them, of course, are gonna end up leading us to the absolute moon. But what I'm saying is that there's several signals kind of signaling the possibility of a turnaround or something. You know what I mean? So now DBSI is basing its buy signal through taking a metric of every single candle printed throughout the asset's particular time frame, in this case the hourly, throughout the entire trading history of it. Okay, so in this case, we're still beneath the 13-day exponential moving average, means it's still a little bearish. But take a gander at this here. It's very curious that the bulls and the bears are at a 50-50 now. Okay, so this is curious as well, as the bears are not leading the way anymore. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the last part of the analysis, as there is something of a signal here too. Okay, so we're going to look at the divergence. Okay, so divergence or divergence, whatever you want to call it, is the opposition of price action versus momentum. Okay, so and in this case, momentum represented by RSI, the relative strength index. Okay, so why I'm pointing this out right now is because there are three drives of regular bullish divergence. Three drives of phantom regular bullish divergence and one drive of hidden bullish divergence. Okay, so the way we can tell is that there is a small pivot starting to happen here on the 12-hour. And that small, you guys already know how I feel about the small pivots. They don't always succeed. Like, for example, this small pivot here, you can see that it actually went up and then it started coming down. But this is, and also this one right here. Okay, so we're facing a similar situation here. And what I do want to notice is also the fact that the 14-day simple moving average is suggesting some downside. We are also within the bear strength percentile. And this could also be false right now, but it also could be the potential of the correlation between the other moving average suggesting the downside, the slight downside on the momentum. Okay, so RSI and that other moving average could be in accordance here in suggesting a continuation to the downside. Okay, but we are getting overextended here to the downside, so there is the possibility of finding some type of very critical support before a bounce. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the multi-pane here so that we can gauge a true edge. Okay, so let's see how much correlation there is between the both momentum oscillators. Okay, I'm talking about stochastic momentum versus RSI. Okay, so now the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame has made a bullish cross above the 14-day simple moving average. So remember that the signal line is the purple line and the 14-day simple is the pink line. Okay, so you can see that we have made that bullish cross to the upside, and we have also now on the buy hourly used that 14-day moving average as a bounce. Okay, so this support zone is not only a support zone from the 14-day simple, but it's also a support area because we're right in that gravitational zone. Okay, that can actually pull us right into the following zone, which would essentially be the bear strength. Okay, so this is for the immediate short term is looking bullish. Okay, so there's still some upside to look at here. Now, there could be some limited upside based on the 6-hour time frame. Okay, so I'm gonna explain why the limited downside is relevant here. Okay, so the limited upside is relevant. So if we can actually make a move to the way up and find the resistance, just like we did here from the 14-day moving average, this was on the January 10th. Right, so if we can do that, that would actually be correlated to us regaining the inside of that void. The void being the gap that we formed in October. So meaning that we can actually come right back up. We'll test the resistance of the 2.618 at best case scenario, 331. Before coming back down, and then using the bottom side of the void as a support confirmation or validation, or a validator, right, before a continuation to the way up. All right, so there is still some things that kind of need to be solidified in the shorter term periods, but it's still looking good. Okay, so now if we're looking at this throughout the 6-hour time frame, that means that the upside may be faced potentially all the way to the half session tomorrow, so or even midway of the morning session, we can see upside in COSM followed by a correction, which would then tell us that the daily time frame RSI is correct in suggesting a slight downside here. But please do notice that this 14-day simple moving average is starting to lose its bear strength. Okay, so it's actually starting to maybe kind of favor the I don't want to say the bulls just yet, but it's starting to kind of not have that aggression to the downside as it was before. Okay, so yeah, guys, there's something very curious happening here. Okay, so I'm going to keep an eye on this, and we're going to keep on going. Okay, but please know that there is a little bit of upside coming in, I think, tomorrow, and there could also be the potential of a statistical move to the upside that could be pretty significant. Okay, so yeah, this is looking very curious to me, you guys. And I'm not going to ever spread anything that's not relevant to the trade. I don't care about your emotions. I'm going to tell it to you like it is. It's going to be either down or up. And in this case, I see the upside potential starting to kind of accumulate throughout several signals. We need all of them to fire, and this is, we need everything to line up, right, in order for us to validate that move to the upside. But so far, it looks like we're 60-70% in validation signals. Okay, so this is pretty big. All right, so let's go ahead and just finish off this analysis here, you guys. Please refer to the links below. If you need to reach out to me, you'll find the Discord, the Twitter there. You'll also find a link for the TradingView software, which is what I use here in the event to where you feel curious to kind of make your drawings yourself and match mine, or draw alongside me when we're reviewing these videos, right? It would help my trading future out if you did create an account with TradingView. Okay, so yeah, you guys, and if you are interested in getting those Crypstex indicators, definitely send me an email, and we'll go ahead and go over the subscription packages for the 8 indicators, okay, as they will include the statistical indicator. It will include the and the other indicators as well that also flash the buy and sell signals algorithmically. Okay, so all right, you guys, so that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you well and a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.